Over the last 75 years, LEGO has released over 87,000 unique parts. But even with all of those unique pieces to choose from, some sets still rely heavily on using the same pieces over and over again, such as this set, which is covered by hundreds of 1x2 tan grill pieces. Join me as we explore LEGO sets that use way too many of a certain piece. To kick off our journey, I've got to mention the most famous example of a set with an overabundance of one piece. It's well known by many LEGO fans that this set includes this famous step, where you just need to dump in 284 1x1 round studs into the bottle to simulate some water. That's almost 30% of the set's 962 pieces. What's slightly less known though is why this set comes with exactly 284 of these parts. Why not an even 300? Well, as it turns out, the designer did originally want 300 studs to be included in this set, but there was a small issue. You see, when LEGO makes 1x1 round studs, they come in batches of 284, so it proved to be much simpler to just use one batch per set. Next up, let's take a quick look at the Silent Mary from 2017. Looking at this set, you might think that the most common piece here would be this Technic pin connector that the ship uses as cannons. While this set does come with 29 of these, the real stars of the show here are actually the 124 1x1 round studs in pearl gold. These things are used all over this build and make up much of the railing all along the deck of the ship, as well as decorations underneath the windows at the rear. Overall, this build comes with more than 200 pearl gold elements, including 44 of these 2x1 half pyramid bricks. If you want one of these for yourself though, you'll need to part with a considerable amount of your own gold, as even used copies of this set sell for about $250 these days. However, if you want to dive into your very own Scrooge McDuck style vault full of pearl gold studs, then look no further than the Harry Potter Hogwarts Crest set from the LEGO art line. The LEGO art theme is well known for being big boxes of different colored studs, but no set offers more of them in gold than this one, with a truly staggering 604. Now, the funny thing is that these aren't even the most common pieces in this set. Nope, this box also includes 630 1x1 round studs in metallic silver, which makes this one of the sparkliest sets that LEGO has ever released. If we're looking for the art build with the most studs of a single color, that's undoubtedly the Star Wars The Sith set, with its 877 round studs. I'll give you one guess as to what color they come in. Yup, it's black. If it seems like LEGO uses a lot of these 1x1 round studs in their sets, you're right. In fact, these are the most commonly used LEGO pieces in sets just in general. But it's hardly just studs that LEGO uses by the truckload. The Burj Khalifa is the tallest building in the world, so when it was announced that LEGO was releasing a version of the iconic structure, many fans anticipated an equally impressive set. Once the final product was revealed though, people were more than a little disappointed. And not just because the build's final height was only a measly 10 inches or 26 centimeters. This architecture set comes with 208 pieces, but the problem is that 54% of these pieces are just these 1x1 round bricks in light gray. Yup, there are 112 of these pieces in this set. This boring build and bland appearance has earned this set the dubious honor of being the lowest rated LEGO architecture set ever released. However, it seems that the LEGO architecture line has several offerings that make an abundant use of a single part. This isn't super surprising since many large buildings have a pretty unified and repetitive look, but that can sometimes lead to some fairly boring sets. While the Burj Khalifa is a pretty small, quick build, some landmarks are a little bit more complicated. As one example, just take a look at 2019's Empire State Building set. Even just a quick glance will tell you that you'll be using a lot of these 1x2 grill plates. But nothing can prepare you for just how many you'll need. Out of this set's 1,767 parts, these grill plates account for 684 of them. That's nearly 39% of this entire set for those of you doing the math at home. Considering that this is quite a large set, that's ridiculous. These parts are used heavily throughout the entire build, and every bag, except for bag 1, has at least 100 of them. Honestly, this is better than making us put them all on at once at the very end, but it still makes for an extremely tedious build. However, once it's all said and done, the end result is a great model of one of the world's most famous skyscrapers. skyscrapers. Moving on, one of the most accurate depictions of any real-world building that LEGO has ever put out is the very underrated Roby House from 2011. Unlike the Burj Khalifa and Empire State Building, this Chicago landmark and museum isn't exactly a household name, but fans of urban architecture have long held it as a masterpiece, and LEGO's designers really did a fantastic job of recreating the house's intricate signature brickwork. At first glance, it might look like this set makes generous use of masonry bricks in dark red, but a slightly closer look reveals the truth, which is somehow much cooler and much scarier at the same time. To create these incredible lines throughout this build, this set makes use of 268 1x1 plates in dark red, but that's just the appetizer. The main course here, so to speak, is this set's absolutely mind-boggling 771 1x2 plates in the same color. Between these two elements, that's a total of 1,039 of the set's 2,276 pieces. Now, out of all of LEGO's many sets that recreate famous world landmarks, there's one that has a special place in the hearts of many builders, though maybe not for the best reason. The Tower Bridge from 2010 might be the most polarizing set that LEGO has ever released. While everyone agrees that the build is a largely accurate rendition of London's most famous bridge, and that it looks truly stunning sitting on a shelf, the building process is enough to cause some people to completely avoid building this set. Why? Well, it seems that of this build's 4,287 parts, 566 of them are just these 1x1 cheese slopes in tan, which are used to round out the corners of the two towers. While that's less than the Empire State Building's 684 grill plates, these cheese slopes are notorious for busting fingers and leaving builders' hands just a little bit sore. On top of these slopes, though, this set also includes 96 1x6 plates, 98 1x1 plates, 110 1x2 jumper plates, and 184 1x1 bricks, all in tan. Although famous buildings and landmarks make up many of LEGO's largest sets, there's another category of massive builds that I only briefly touched on earlier: vehicles. Whether it's small-scale recreations of larger-than-life construction equipment or your very own version of an iconic spaceship, LEGO's got you covered. Let's start with what might be the most famous LEGO set ever released, the UCS Millennium Falcon. Yeah, the set with over 7,500 parts, which was the largest LEGO set at the time of its release. However, this set uses an incredible range of different parts, 724 unique elements to be exact. What this means is that none of these pieces appear in crazy quantities, with the most common being 105 of these 2x3 light bluish-gray plates, just barely beating out the 102 1x2 black grill plates. However, the first edition of the UCS Falcon blows this out of the water. Despite having more than 2,000 fewer pieces, this earlier version is far less varied in its parts usage. This set includes 243 of these same 2x3 plates, as well as 84 2x4 plates and 131 1x2s in the same light bluish-gray color. This set definitely takes a long time to build, but do you know what only takes a few seconds? Tapping subscribe to help me get to 1 million. But yet, there's another set that features even more copies of a single piece, the Ultimate Collector's Series AT-AT. This set was originally released in 2021, and for LEGO, designing a set this tall with 4 movable legs was no small challenge. Therefore, the final product here makes use of a tremendous number of Technic pins to keep it all together. Among this build's 6,785 pieces, you'll find 151 of these blue friction pins, 326 blue connector pins, and 327 black pins on top of more than 100 other mixed Technic pins and axles. If that seems like a lot of Technic pins, it is, but it's nowhere near the top of the list. As it turns out, the humble Technic pin is the 5th most common LEGO element of all time. These unsung heroes of the LEGO world pop up in sets across every theme and often come in truly massive numbers, with 11 sets containing more than 500 of them. I'm not going to run down that entire list, but the top 3 are each worth a quick mention. At number 3, it's the Crawler Crane set. This build comes with 2,883 parts, and nearly a quarter of them, 689 to be exact, are these simple black Technic pins. Just ahead of that, the Cat D11 bulldozer uses 707 of them, making up 18% of its 3,854 pieces, and at the top of the list, the LEGO set with the most Technic pins is 2016's Bucket Wheel Excavator set, which comes with an absolutely ridiculous quantity of 724 pins, which is right around 18% of the set's total pieces. Now, you may recall way back at the start of this video, I was talking about the LEGO art sets and their overabundance of 1x1 studs. Well, as it turns out, these sets weren't weren't the first to try this building technique, and believe it or not, the original LEGO Mosaic line somehow managed to go even further off the rails when it came to including large numbers of a single element. These sets were pretty much identical to the more modern art line, except that they used square 1x1 plates instead of round studs. Oh, and they only included parts in black, a few different shades of gray, as well as white. While that might seem like a pretty limited color palette, it was still possible to create some fairly detailed images. However, since these sets only included these colors, they did come with massive numbers of each. For example, the Mosaic Tiger included 360 1x1 plates in light gray and white, 450 of them in dark gray and very light gray, and 540 in black to make up the bulk of the set's 2,217 parts. But not to be outdone, the Mosaic Dino came with roughly similar numbers, though it's worth mentioning that of the Dino's 2,847 bricks, 1,170 of them were white 1x1 plates. Of course, I also can't forget to mention the final Mosaic set, which LEGO released more than a decade later in 2016, the Personalized Mosaic Portrait, which includes 4,502 parts and the funniest inventory I've ever seen for a set. Opening up this box reveals a brick separator, one 48x48 base plate, and 900 each of 1x1 plates in black, light bluish gray, dark bluish gray, white, and LEGO's iconic yellow color. Of course, there's also the infamous world map set, which you probably expected to see somewhere in this video, because yeah, look at the set inventory for the pieces in this set. There are 3 different colors of tiles that have over 1,000 pieces each included in this set, which is just crazy to think about. But the insanity doesn't stop there, because take a look at how many 1x1 white studs are in this set. Yup, 3,064 of them. That's just insane. Now, although these sets have a lot of repetitive pieces, they're not necessarily the most difficult LEGO sets to build. To see the most difficult LEGO sets, click on this video right now, and don't forget to tap the subscribe button for more LEGO videos.